أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خاتم المرسلين نبينا وإمامنا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المخلصين المجاهدين. We have already started this Dars al-Quran, Tafsir Quran, by a small introduction for the Quran recordation, one session. This is enough. Obviously, the whole topic will fill volumes if it is for the proper academic way, and this is one of my plans to do that in a standalone volume, a comprehensive way. But I think it has clarified many misconceptions in many minds and showed many pitfalls of the so-called Orientalists and other less well-informed people who are not following any objective academic discipline, but rather desires and wishful thinkings instead of facts as they are on the table and they are recorded historically. So we can safely assume that what we have here in this volume that we will call the Mushaf is that what has been uttered by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and attributed to be a Quran and recorded as a Quran and attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the angel Jibreel. Now, this attribution needs evidences, and this is the evidences of prophethood. That's not our topic in this tafsir. We assume that this issue is being settled. Or, for the listener who is not a Muslim, he should keep an open mind. He should say maybe 50% is true, 50% is false. This will be the most objective and academically acceptable point of view. Just 50-50. It could be true, could be false. Keep an open mind and go through the Quran and see if there's an issues of internal inconsistency, etc. And that will be an evidence by itself. So it is very well possible. Remind you by someone who came from the Qadiani background in Pakistan, became Muslim again after that. And in a phase, because some of the Qadiani priests or what they call themselves braved him, he's a young man, so he was so upset about religion and so he became an atheist. But his father tried to persuade him slowly to come back to belief. Said, why did you ask Allah to help you? I don't believe in it, that He exists in the first place. Say, address Him, say, if you exist, then help me. Doesn't harm to address something as if you exist, help me. And that's a reasonable way for someone who is even completely in doubt even of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is expected from the listener who does not believe is just to keep an open mind. The way of the mentally retarded and the idiots is to say, no, I'm not going to listen to that. This is the way of someone who is not worthy of being addressed as a human being, as a thinking human being. But we are addressing thinking human beings. Understand the proper behavior would be to listen and see. Let's assume it's true, let's assume it's false, and let's see if maybe internal consistency, maybe another evidence along the way. And the Quran itself has in itself sufficient internal consistency and issues of amazing verifiability that everyone can check by himself. So we continue with the Quran. The Quran is, as we said, this organization of the Quran starting with the Fatiha as the opening chapter, and the rest of this organization is that what has been since the time of the Sahaba like that. There have been various narrations scattered here and there, especially in Shia circles, claiming that Ali ibn Abi Talib has a Mushaf organized according to the order of revelation. No Mushaf like that was ever found. Dr. Ibn Nadim, in his famous book, The Fairest, meaning the index, in which he tried to index all the books and the achievement of the Muslim culture and mind up to his time. He was living in 400 something Hijri, which is something like 1000 AD. So he's trying to index 4 centuries of Islamic scholarship and so on, and books. It's just an index. Books so and so on. This scholar wrote this book 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 70, 80 titles, full stop. Next scholar and so on. Just an index. And he has a big interest on Masahif, the various Masahif. And he said he went to Kufa, and some people claim there is an original Mushaf Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he went to a family who claimed to be keeping that. So they showed him a very old Mushaf made out of parchment. At the time, parchment was essentially extinct. People had papers in 100 Hijri. That's like 750 AD. And paper became so dominant that everything was written on paper. It's economical, cheap, and easily available. But some of the old Masahib before that were written on parchment, thin, luxurious parchment. This is thin skin, which has been nicely made and because it's very durable and so on. So they got him large Mushaf made of parchment, with very old script, which is familiar with various scripts, even the pre-Islamic scripts of Hira and Kufa, and not there was no Kufa, but there was another city in that area and so on. He was familiar with the script, so it's a very old script. It could be from Ali ibn Abi Talib time. So he checked it to see if it is really good. It may be, since there's no evidence. Just the family claim they have this from father and grandfather to Ali ibn Abi Talib, that the one which Ali used to have in his shelf. Okay, let's assume that's true. So he said, I wanted to verify the claims that the organization there, the order of the surah, is the order by revelation. So he opened it has the same order like the Massari we have in our hand. So this is the oldest thing, I put my hand on it, was the same order. We did not find anywhere in the world at his time any Mushaf organized in another order. Yeah, some tafsir are organized otherwise, but tafsir is not a Mushaf. It's a scholarly work, which the scholar can even take few ayahs, put them together and analyze them, another ayahs. That's no problem. Tafsir is clearly a scholarly work. You can divide the Quran according to topics. Some scholar did that, divided the Quran according to topic, for example, kindness to the parents, all ayahs in one go. And discuss them. Avoiding associating with Allah partners, plenty tons of ayahs in one go and subdivided and so on. It is possible to do that. This is scholarly work, this is not a Mushaf. So any claim that there is any real Mushaf by the hand of any proper Sahabi which has been in another organization order is definitely mute and not acceptable. All the Masahif which Uthman sent to all over the Muslim world, the major 7 or 10 or how many they were, we know there was one in Medina in his hand. We know one was sent to Kufa, one to Basra, one to Damascus, one to Bahrain, possibly one to Yamama, one to Yemen, one to Egypt, and maybe other places, with a reader, as we discussed, because the issue was not only the writing of the Mushaf and the spelling, the issue was also the proper pronunciation and bring the people all down to the Qurayshi pronunciation and Qurayshi dialect. These are all organized the same way, with this order of the surahs like we have today. So there is no other order, and the order is, since then, is this one, and it starts with Surah-ul-Faatiha as the opening, and then Baqarah is the second one, Ali Imran third one, etc., as it is in the. And sometimes the Prophet ﷺ used to read Salah in this order also, somehow in this order. Maybe there are some in the narration various variations, but this is not relevant because they are not obliged to stick to the Quran order in Salah anyway. But more often than not, he was doing that in this order. We know also that that this order is the one because the Sahaba at the time they used to divide the Quran is called manzila. This called hizb at the time. It's not the hizb that we have now. Now we have 30 juz or para in Urdu, and every juz is divided in 2 parts called hizb. I don't know why the name hizb. Hizb is like party or block. Anyway, block maybe. And at that time, the Sahaba divided it into 7 hizbs. Actually, they use the word hizb, but the later generation, because they used the word hizb for some other meaning, they called it manzila. Tarandi or something. And they did it the following way, in an interesting way, to synchronize with this order. Except Fatiha, they start the first manzila. The reason for 7 is that you can read it in 7 days. They start with the first 3, that's the first one. Then 5, so 3, 5, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and from after 13, from Qaf until this called the Mufassal, the smaller surah, from Qaf until the end. If you open the Mushaf and count them, you find it really like that. 3, 5, 7, 11, 7, 9, 11, 13, and then the last hizb, the 7th, is from Qaf or Quran Majid until the end, and Mufassal. So it must be the same order which they are familiar with. So that's the order. There is also scholarly discussion: is that the order from revelation or by ijtihad? It seems to be from revelation. Some people synchronize that with certain numerology and so on. Nothing is well established, you can't trust yet. So we don't want to indulge in that. That's concerning the order of the surah. Inside the surah, there is no doubt. The surah from beginning to end is the way the Prophet ﷺ gave it to the people, and the count of the ayahs is also given, although it's not crucial worth fighting for. For example, there's a narration, I think, with a reasonable isnad, with a reasonable reference, chain of reference, in which some people came to Islam and someone was combing him, and then said, we had the discussion yesterday about Surah Tabarak. I said, and some said there's 30 ayahs, and the other brothers said, the Sahabi said 29 ayahs. And we had a dispute. The Prophet, when he heard the word dispute, he became red-faced and angry and said, don't dispute about the Quran. And he didn't answer how many is, but we know it's 30. This is the most common narration. Also in another hadith he said 30 ayahs made shafa'a for a man who read them and entered paradise because admission Surah Tabarak. So he knows 30, but he was upset that it's a matter of discussion. Should not be discussed. Quran is well established. Where you put the ends of ayah is not of great relevance. It doesn't change anything in the meaning. It's just a matter of counting. So why dispute about something like that trivial? So he wanted to give a rebucation. Don't dispute what the Quran did not answer which one it is the correct one. So it is not life-threatening or important, but it has certain niceties and also, obviously, some people do numerology and so on. Now, Al-Fatiha is well established at 7 ayahs. It's called the Saba' al-Mathani, the 7 repeated ones in another place in the Quran. And most scholars agree that the Saba' al-Mathani are Surah Al-Fatiha. It's 7 ayahs. And Mathani, Mathna, something which is repeated often. The same word is also in Hebrew, Mishnah, about the part of the Talmud. The Talmud consists of 3 parts. The very short, concise Mukhtasar, or abridged version, which is supposed to be memorized completely and repeated as it is, called the Mishnah, the Mithna. Then there is an expanded, like Sharh, it's called the Gemara. And then there is a footnote, a big footnote called the Tosefta. They have the same, like in classical Muslim scholarship. They tend, after fiqh has been developed, some fuqaha try to summarize fiqh in a very short summary. It becomes sometimes so short that the wording is so obscure that you need an explanatory note to understand it. It becomes so dense and so condensed that it's very difficult to understand. This is called al-Mukhtasar. This is supposed to be memorized. Then there will be a Sharh on the Mukhtasar. And then sometimes the Sharh is not enough, you need extra notes, and then it's called Hashiyah. So you have the Matan, or in the Arabic language, other places they do it in form of poetry. Then it's like Alifiyat ibn Malik, in the case of Arabic language, grammar. Then you have a Sharh, and then from the Sharh, some scholars are not happy with the Sharh, it's not expanded enough, then they add more material in an added footnotes, Hashiyah. So so the word Mishnah also is a Hebrew word, an Aramaic word, meaning there's something which is repeated often, but is so short that can be memorized. Which applies very well to the Fatiha. It's often repeated, and we know how often it's repeated every day. Meaning for a practicing Muslim who call himself a Muslim is 17 times, because you have 17 rak'ahs, and every rak'ah Al-Fatiha has to be, because every rak'ah is a salah by itself, and the hadith is clear that لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ فاتحة الكتاب. والصلاة without فاتحة الكتاب is khidaj. It's aborted. It's dead. So Fatiha is essential in every rak'ah. So you read it daily 17 times. This is Al-Fatiha. And it has many names. Al-Fatiha, Al-Quran, the mother of the Quran, and many others. Saba' al-Mathani, etc. It has many names. I'm not going to count them because they don't produce very much. If we come along the way, we will mention them. But the Fatiha is the opening, because it's like a foreword. Now this is a surah which is a good part of it, the good part. All of it is actually formulated to be a supplication formula. The formulation is done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but He made it so that it can be read as if it's a dua from you, as if you are the one who is formulating it and reading it. And it was supposed to be substituting the old Lord's Prayer, for example, in Christianity. Now, if you compare it to the Lord's Prayer, without being insulting to anybody or to Isa alayhi salam, because the Lord's Prayer seems to be in the New Testament and seems to be well established, coming from Isa, but there is no comparison between the eloquence and the comprehensiveness of Surah Al-Fatiha and the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer is quite, if you compare it, it's quite poor. Give us our daily bread, forgive us our sins as we forgive others, and things like that. Yeah, nice things, not that I'm saying it's bad, but it is really simple-minded things. For it's like comparing someone who is doing kindergarten with someone who is having a PhD from university. It's a huge difference in the level of sophistication and mental level. While Surah Al-Fatiha addresses enormous issues in one go. These are just very simple, important day-to-day issues, and are not formulated that nicely. Here you will see the difference with this application. That one repeated daily or repeated maybe several times in the day on the food table, etc., etc. But this one is vastly more, covering all aspects of belief in a concise way. Now the surah start like every surah with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now the Basmala is also, there is a dispute about scholar how to count it in the surahs. There is no doubt that at the beginning of the surah there is a Basmala. And there is a narration that the Prophet knew that the surah is complete when Jibreel comes and says, put Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim at the beginning, then the surah is complete. That's okay. So every surah had, but the question how to count it number-wise. We said numbering the ayahs and so on is a matter of convention. It's not very of great relevance. But in the Kufi numbering, the Basmala is not number. It's number 0, if you wish to say, except in Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha is the ayah number 1. Some other readings, I think the Massari, Surah Al-Fatiha, still the Basmala is 0, but still the Surah Al-Fatiha has 7 ayahs, but there's another in between where you see in some masahif like a small circle without a number in it, which indicates in the other count this is the end of the ayah. So it's 7 there also, but with the Basmala not counted in. But it's 7 ayahs. You count the Basmala in, then 2 ayahs in the one count become 1 ayah in this one count, but it's 7 in any case. That is 7 in any case. So, but this is, as I said, this is not relevant. Depending upon your reading, if you regard it as a part of the surah, then obviously if you read Fatiha al-Kitab, like for example, if you're reading this Mushaf, the Kufi version of writing and numbering the ayahs, then you have to read it also in Salah. If that's your madhab reading. That's what settled the question. Because there was a dispute between the fuqaha, should we read the Basmala loudly in Salah, or we shouldn't? Shafi'i said you have to read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, etc. Others said no, just say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim silently, like at the beginning of the surah, because it's not part of the surah, it's just an intervening ayah, a separating ayah. It's Quran, it's part of the Quran, no doubt about that. And but you start reciting loudly the rest of the surah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and you hear that in the masajid. The better point of view, the more correct one, is depending upon which reading you are following. If you are following the Kufi reading, then you ought to read it loudly because it's part of the Fatiha. If you are following the Kufi reading, then you can choose either to read it loudly because it's an ayah of the Quran and there's no blame of reading any ayah of the Quran anywhere, or you can make it silently because you're not obliged to read it because it's not part of the Fatiha. The Fatiha is the further part of the surah which comes out. Anyway, this is a small issue of fiqh. Trust me, both is very nice, no problem. You can do either one, you will be happy. No problem, you will not be penalized for anything. Only simple-minded idiots will make an issue out of that. There is no issue with that. You can do either and you are perfectly fine. Both is correct, and both are fine, and both are nice, and both are very productive, and both will fill your heart with iman and yaqeen. If you do it believing that that's what Allah wanted from you, you are fine. So that's no problem in that. Now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, translated in the name of Allah. Now, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, we'll discuss the Arabic, but they usually translated as the benevolent or the beneficent, the first one, and the second one, the merciful. Although they sound in Arabic, so Rahman Rahim, from Rahim, from the same soul. So this has to be discussed a little bit. But let us say, first of all, in the name of Allah. So this is not a complete thing. In the name of what? In the name of Allah. What does it mean? This is not a complete sentence. There is no mubtada and khabar. There is nothing to be reported, even in languages where it insists that every sentence must have a verb, and they take the verb be to be helpful. In Arabic, we don't need that. I think also in Urdu, we don't need that. Because in Arabic, we could very easily say in Arabic, Muhammad is energetic. Muhammad energetic. No need for the is. It's understood. I think also in Urdu. But in Europe, or European language, you must have a verb, and the is will do this. It's actually like a helping verb. That's all, to make this structure of the sentence proper. But we have no verb here, and we have no khabar here. So what's Bismillah ar-Rahman? What is the sentence like? It must be something which has been dropped, which is understood. It's actually in the name of Allah. We start, or in the name of Allah we take blessing and start. So the meaning of it is really the full sentence is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim nabda. The name of Allah, the beneficent or the benevolent and the merciful, we start. But because it is the understanding of everyone that it is invoked at the beginning, it is to start. So it is eloquent in Arabic language and all other languages that what you don't need, you drop it out. Yeah. And that's also in other languages. Like for example, you find many court rulings starting at the top in the name of the people or in the name of the public. Im Namen des Volkes in German, for example. What does it mean? In that case, the case of court ruling, in the name of the people, or in behalf of that case is not invoking the name to start, but in behalf of the public, in behalf of the common, of the nation, we declare the following ruling. But he doesn't try, we declare the following ruling because it's understood, because after that the declaration will come. So in the name of the public, you are giving this judgment and declaring this ruling. But you don't need to repeat that because it doesn't add anything to the meaning and is less eloquent. It is where brevity is more eloquent. Sometimes expansion is the eloquent way to do things, and sometimes it's brevity is the eloquent way, fasaha way, more sophisticated way. So this is how to start. And there's a hadith, everything which is started without the name of Allah is aqta, is cut short. So everything should be started by mentioning the name of Allah to bring barakah. It's first of all to bring your mind in tune with the reality. The reality is that the universe and you are created by Allah. So you recognize that the source of being, the one who created the universe, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all your action of will, which are directed by the mind, which is the action of the ikhtiyariya, the action of will, not the action of the heart, for example, or the heartbeat. That's not under nobody's control, so no need to distinguish it. But the action you do deliberately by your own will, by your own thinking, are supposed to be guided by the commandments of Allah. So that's what will bring makes every action, every situation become from being pure matter, because action is pure matter, physiology, physics. Blood is flowing, muscle shrink and expand. This is all physics, chemistry. But that action now, all this pure chemistry, by this consciousness of that Allah is the creator and Allah is the commander, becomes spiritual. That's the real spirituality. You are conscious of Allah, your relation to Allah. Both the relation of creation, that is the creator, and the relation of commandment. So mentioning the name of Allah either with the tongue or with the heart minimally, but also the tongue is supporting. It's good to mention that also with the tongue as much as possible, and or wherever is available, is to bring the heart and the mind in synchronization and the body in synchronization, and bring your mind to recognize these fundamental facts. And this way you become spiritual. Then what's going in your brain is just not only brain waves and physiological biochemical processes, they suddenly become something spiritual, because Allah has been recognized as the creator and the commander. إدراك الصلة بالله, recognizing the relation to Allah, is that what is real spirituality. So starting anything in the name of Allah, is that what will give this thing the real spice, where it makes it not just a trivial act, it becomes a spiritual act by this consciousness, by the consciousness of Allah being the creator and the commander. In the name of Allah, we start our trip, invoking Allah's blessing. But if we invoke Allah's blessing, we hope Allah will bless this trip and protect us from whatever pitfalls could be along the way. Then we are conscious, oh yeah, Allah is the one who created the universe, Allah who made the conditions, Allah who made the cause and effect where, Allah who is the one who could divert harm from us and bring harm to us. And we hope He diverts the harm, like who can bring, and He will bring benefit to us. And we are hopeful that He will do. But at the same time, we recognize, since He is our Lord and He is our Creator, He is also having certain commandments to be obeyed. That all that consciousness is supposed to be revived and invoked by mentioning the name of Allah. And thus, some people think this has become like mechanical and mechanism. Yes, it becomes with time a little bit mechanical, but don't underestimate even the mechanical aspect of it. If you look, for example, in secular life, the way the seculars talk and they formulate their speech normally in their life, Allah is not mentioned. They deliberately avoid mentioning the name of Allah. They deliberately avoid mentioning the name of Allah, because if they mention the name of Allah, then there will be trouble about thinking about these difficult questions. So the best is just forget about it. Just throw it behind your back. Gloss over it. Forget about it. So even this mechanical mentioning of the name of Allah, the mechanical invoking the messenger of Allah and in Salat al-Nabi, all of that becomes sometimes mechanical, but still it has a very great value. For example, in Egypt, if you start with someone disputing, he says Salli al-Nabi, say Salah on the Nabi, just to have a break and to end the dispute possibly and cool the atmosphere. And very often that's very effective, because the other guy has nothing except to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and stop there. Or he becomes rebellious and pronounces clear kufr. Then he loses the argument and loses the people around him, maybe come and start beating him, how you dare say it. So it gives a break. It gives a bit of a break. No doubt about that. So starting with the name of Allah, remembering Allah and His Messenger and Prophets, even if it becomes like a daily habit, it still has a very useful effect and should be comes. That's the reason it is not nice to get in the habit to say good morning. It's good to say Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mentioning the name of Allah and His mercy and His peace is very important. And then you add whatever necessary about invoking good morning or good evening as an addition. And gives life and gives these things another flavor which are not available without mentioning the name of Allah. So mentioning the name of Allah to start everything is not only a ibadah pure, just purely to show your belief and your respect and your love and your submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It also has important spiritual effects in all aspects of life. So this is starting with the name of Allah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is not a complete sentence. Yes, definitely, but the meaning is clear, meaning with the name of Allah we start. Now there are three divine names there. Allah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Allah is unique to the Arabic language and possibly Aramaic. In Aramaic also it's called Allah. They don't have declination in Aramaic. They don't have Rafa. In Arabic, Allahu, Allah, Allah. Depending upon if it is nominative, accusative, or dative, genitive. Yeah. But in Arabic they don't have this. And the structure of the sentence is very rigid. In Arabic you don't have that because you have the declination, you are at liberty. You could put, for example, the actor ahead of the acted upon or behind him because the end vowel will show you who is the acted and who is acted upon. Although normal there's a normal order, but you can deviate from that for linguistic and eloquence reasons easily without much problem because that will show the issue, the declination will show that. So Allah is a full decline word. What's the meaning of Allah? First of all, it is purely reserved for the divine being who created the universe, the one who revealed the books, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a personal name. It is a personal name. Like your name is maybe Khalid. Does not mean that you are eternal because Khalid means eternal. You are not eternal. His name is maybe Shuja', courageous. Maybe he's a coward, but still his name is Shuja'. Shin Jim Alif Ain. It is just a personal name. It's just a label. Like in computer language, it's just a label to identify an identifier, just to identify something. Irrelevant. It is irrelevant what is the meaning or the content of it. It is just a personal name. In that aspect, Allah is the personal name of the divinity, and there's only one divinity, one divine being. There's no other divine being as dictated not only by in the revelation, as dictated by necessity of reason, which we discuss elsewhere, for example, in the book of Tawhid. So it's a personal name, so nobody can be called Allah. This is out of question. But some people could be called Rahim, but not Allah. Because the other names are actually more of an attribute. Although two names have become so that they are almost personal names, and these are not used elsewhere. But definitely Allah is not used by any other entity except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it has a source. It has developed because it is these languages and all these letters and these sounds are created. The universe is new, is not eternal from the beginning. So Allah directed the development so that His name ultimately ended being like this. That's fine. We'll say that the development has been so directed that it will end in this way. The development even of the languages have been, Allah tuned them so that they will be able to receive His revelation the way He wants. That's fine. But still, it must have some original linguistic meaning. And the original linguistic is most likely is in the Semitic languages Il, which is the main god, Il. But Il can be used for any deity, Il, or Il. Quran used the word Il, although the old meaning of deity has gone more in the back and became got the meaning of a system of law or moral commitment, but it is related to Il. There are many Ils for the Semitics because they are also pagans. Many gods, deities, like God in English, even God with a capital G or small g will not represent Allah properly. So the best thing is to keep Allah as it is, A-L-L-A-A-H or something like that, the translation. Because really a personal name. Like we will never translate, for example, his name is Khalid, we'll never go there. Khalid said, we will not say the eternal said. We say Khalid said, not translate the meaning of it, the original meaning. And sometimes the original meaning is quite bad. Like for example, Khadija, the wife of the Prophet, is a very nice name. Muslims love this name because she is the first wife and the best wife of the Prophet. But the name itself is very nasty. The meaning is aborted. Now the Arab before Islam were very superstitious. So when a boy is born, they call him Khalid in the hope that he would lives longer. A girl, they call it Khadija, mean aborted, so nobody casts an evil eye on her. So it's just aborted. It's nothing bad. Don't look very much there. Just to choose a bad name so people do not cast an evil. And they go even to extremes that, for example, they dress a boy like a girl for many years so nobody casts an evil eye on the boy of the family, and all these superstitions, which are still plenty in the Indian subcontinent. You see in Hindu movies, the same. Like, same way all pagans are. So, but now everyone loves the name because the name of the, so it has become almost like personal for Khadija. But the original meaning is not nice. It's not a nice name. It's aborted female baby. It's not a very nice name either. Agreeing with you. Khalid is better, being living long. Okay, that makes better sense. And there are even worse names, which the Prophet hated, like Harb or Dunk. All these names, they used to use that. Anyway, back to so most likely the origin is Al-Il, but the Il has become like this, the main deity became Al-Il, the God, and then the God merged together. So in English, if we develop something like Rigid or something like that, that will be a personal name for the deity. It's the God and the Rigid. It becomes Rigid. Rigid may be then something like Allah. It is derived from the God, and it became with time merged together, became a special word in its own right. Rigid. It doesn't exist in English, but we may think something may develop in maybe 1,000 years if the earth is still around. In 1,000 or million years, then will be some like a development into a personal name of the deity, which is the one who created it. It is the eternal one, the necessarily existing one. But it has developed in no other languages except in Arabic. As far as I know, no other language will have a private name for the deity, which is supposed to be the creator of the universe, the Almighty, the Eternal. We have in the Hindu tradition something called the Almighty or the Eternal, which has no structure. There's no image of him, and this one created the other gods, and these one are doing the whole business, which is ongoing. Shiva, Vishnu, and so all of these are made by the Almighty in one theory. But the Almighty is structureless. It has no image. Nobody is supposed to do an image for it. For that Almighty, they have only the attribute the Almighty, the Eternal, the first and last. That's all of them. But they don't have a personal name for it. In Arabic we have. So, granted, most likely the original meaning is Il, from Il. That's the correct point of view, and that's also Tabari's test. Some people say it is derived from Alaha, and Alaha means worship or adore. But I think it's the opposite. It's the original, because we know in the Semitic language that the major god was Il. The father of the gods is Il. And this is older than the current Arabic language which we have, in which the Quran has come. I call it current because it's still living now, still in the books at least. And it reached its level of maturity before Islam, like 200 years, 100 years, and the Quran came and formalized it and kept it forever the way it is. But is not very likely to be exactly the same Arabic which Ismail spoke. Not very likely, because languages develop over time. Although maybe because of the Arab seclusions, the Arab Peninsula development was very slow, but it did develop. And we know that before Islam, Quraysh did develop that dialect of them, from adopting from all other tribes the best one they have, slowly over time, because they have like yearly fairs, Okab, the Majanna. These are markets in which they do trade, but they also do poetry, they do linguistic analysis, they do competition in poetry, etc. And slowly you will develop something like a linguistic community. And Quraysh, being the central tribe, the leadership tribe, adopted the best of the best from all of them. And this process obviously takes centuries. When Islam came, the Arabic language was at its peak maturity, and the Quran gave it the final touch and made it then perfect and eternalized it this way. So the most reasonable and way to sort it is it's originally Al-Il, then became Al-Il, the Il, and then merged together in Al-Il, Allah, and then became Allah. To ease it in the language, became Allah. That's what we have now. It is the name which encompasses all the meaning. It is the one who created the universe, the one who has no beginning, the one whose who is the creator but not created, the eternal one, and by necessity of reason and evidences like in the Tawheed books and so on, there's only one entity of this type. So it is Allah. Meaning, no other meaning, just the personality. Original, the God, the main God, originally, but it developed into a specific divine name. In English, they try to do it by making it capital G, but doesn't help again. Capitalizing the G does not bring all, because it still has the word God in it. Here the word Ilah and Il has been merged and changed. It would be similar in English if we could develop something like ligate or something like that. Some new word in which the and the God have been merged and some letters have been dropped and maybe other letters have been added, so it's smooth in the pronunciation and easy in the pronunciation. Then it could be a similar process, but not yet like that. So this is Allah. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Two names who seems to be, even if you listen to them, they sound very similar, very familiar. And they are indeed. Because in Arabic, like most other Semitic languages, words are derived according to certain patterns. There are plenty of patterns, hundreds of patterns, from so-called roots. The roots are either triplet root or quadruplet root. Most are triplet roots. A few are quadruplet, and very rarely five-letter roots. So terra, tetra, or quantum, quanta, that's the five roots. Five is very rare. Usually there is not very much to that. It's just one word that mostly in Arabic is word which have been imported from another, like Firdaus, paradise. I mean, that's coming from Persian, and something like that. What the original ones is really the triplets and the four-letter roots. Like in Hebrew, the holy tetragramon. That's the four letters of the divine name, Yahweh. Nobody knows how it's pronounced because it's just written as letters without clear vowelization. Yeah, YH, YA or something like that. Four fundamental letters. Here it comes from three fundamental letters. Rahima, Rahama, Rahima. Rahman and Rahim. Two patterns. One pattern is Fa'lan, it's Rahman, and one is Rahim, Fa'il. And you find the pattern in many other words in Arabic. It's a standard. You can, any verb you give to me, I could develop Fa'lan and Fa'il from it. And Fa'lan has other meaning than Fa'il. Both are intensive or stress forms, but with other aspects we will come to. But the interesting thing is that the root Rahim is also in Arabic the prime name for the womb in which the babies develop, which is not in any other language. You could say Allah directed the language so that is because this will give an opportunity for something like the hadith of the Prophet, the metaphorical, which has a metaphorical meaning, is that when Allah finished the creation, the womb stood up and hung on the divine belt. Now you know when you want to invoke the mercy of a leader or a king or something, you throw yourself on his feet and hang on his belt. It's metaphorical. We know that womb does not have hands, nor can it hang, nor there's a divine belt. We know that, but that's what Hadith says. It gives you an image you can enjoy in your mind. And Allah turned to her and said, "What's your problem?" And He knows what she wants, obviously. Clearly that He knows what the people want before they say. He said, "This is the stand. I'm doing that, taking refuge from you that I'll be cut. هذا مقام العائل بك من القطيع. I'm concerned that the people will cut me, meaning the people will disrespect the relation of the womb. هذا مقام العائل بك من القطيع." I said, "Will it please you?" He said, answer to her, "Will it please you? Will it make you happy that whoever joins you, I join him. Whoever cuts you, I'm going to cut him?" She said, "Yes." Then I let loose. That's it. It's for you. Go. It's done. Finish. So even before the beginning of the creation, when the creation was complete, that was decided. That the relation of the womb is so fundamental and important. So whoever cut the womb, Allah will cut him. And whoever joins the womb, Allah will join him. And the most important relation of the womb is the relation to the parents. And the worst kind of cutting the relation of the womb is cutting the relation of the parents, which is one akbar al-kabair, one of the major sins. So Allah tuned the Arabic language so that these two divine names and the meanings of them are connected to the meaning of womb. So what's the womb always about? What is there? What's in the baby 5 years? Everything. Care, nice environment, love, affection, growth, everything. Complete care. That's the womb. Without womb, no babies. Any problem with the womb? Aborted baby, dead baby, yeah? Any severe problem? Minor problems. Things are so tuned in nature that they are much more rugged than people think, but still, if the balance there is fundamentally flawed, we'll have immediate abortion. Babies will be dead. They will not survive. They need the womb environment to grow and become complete human beings, able of surviving the birth and going the process of life until its end. Now, Rahman and Rahim, Fa'lan and Fa'il. Fa'lan, as if it is a stress or an exaggeration or an intensive form. For example, Ghadiba, he became angry. Ghadban, he is angry, he's full of anger. Ghadib is rarely used, but it's sometimes used, especially in Arabic dialect. In Hijaz, they use it often. So what's the difference? This is an intensive form, this is an intensive. What is exaggerate? It is both meaning something more extended. The Fa'lan is more related to the essence. Ghadban is full of anger. In his nature, he is very angry. He's full of anger. His anger is wide and deep in himself. Fa'il is repeated action. Is more related to the action. So Rahman is the one who is having mercy in himself. His mercy is comprehensive, is full in himself. His merciful in himself. His being is merciful, even without any action. That's his nature. Rahim, the one who acts mercifully, and acts repeatedly. Not just Rahim. Rahim just merciful in one event, but Rahim, that's Rahim will be the fa'il, the actor. Like write, yaktub, katib, the writer. There's no katib in Arabic because there's nothing which can be worked on. Continuously writing, there's nothing continuous about it. And there's no katban because it does not make any sense, because it's a pure act. Things which can be pure act and also a characteristic of the actor, like rahma, mercy. Mercy can be someone in himself is having a big heart, and then if he acts mercifully. So he himself is kind intrinsically, and he continuously acts kindly. Both. And that's the two aspects here. And from Rahim and Rahma, which is the best translated in that case is kindness, mercy, gentleness, taking care of, even love, in the sense which is used by Christian often to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not the love which you feel towards your wife or your parents. Something is actually is not a very good translation of agape in Greek. In Greek, agape meaning really something like charity, like kindness, charitable love. Not the love which is related to sexuality or not to family relations. It's another type of being kind, being accommodating, being merciful. But it have been translated because the North European language, they lack in these things. They don't have all these emotions in that level expression. So translated the love should have been translated as it's more of kindness type, more merciful type, rather than the usual love. But anyway, so that's these are the two names. And Rahman is the one who is himself having enormous mercy in himself. His being is mercy. His intrinsic attribute of mercifulness, of being merciful, is vast, is comprehensive. And that's the reason it was used in Arabic before Islam very rarely, because they don't have this concept of something intrinsically. Most of their gods were cool or deficient and having all kinds of shortcomings, and none of them was worthy of that. And there was a man called Rahman al-Yamama before Islam, and then Musaylim the liar adopted the name for himself, called himself Rahman al-Yamama, and things like that. But except these two oddities, nobody used the word Rahman. That's the reason the Quraysh were quite amazed about this name, and we know only this Rahman al-Yamama. Who is this Rahman? And they were objecting to the name of Rahman. Never object to Rahim, because Rahim is an attribute of action. Rahim is no problem. Someone who is continuously doing acts of mercy, they know many people in this status, no problem. But for them, Rahman was an oddity. And after Islam became a reserved divine name. So we cannot say about someone, although in principle, linguistically, it is nothing prohibited, but it has become really a matter of etiquette to call, for example, Brother Omar is Rahman. Meaning his heart is very big, and this will be linguistically acceptable, but become etiquette-wise not acceptable. It's not prohibited like Allah. That's giving him the name or the personal name of Allah is impossible. But it has been deserted linguistically. Nobody is using it. But Rahim is very, very often used. Oh, this man is very Rahim. The Prophet is attributed to be Ra'uf Rahim. And there's two divine names. Allah is also Ra'uf Rahim. No problem. Because Allah is Ra'uf Rahim in a suitable level of the divine being. And the Prophet is Ra'uf Rahim in a suitable level of the human being. And you could be Rahim in a suitable level for you. There's no problem with that. And many other attributes like that. There's no problem with any issue like using the divine name. Allah is Hakim, which means wise or putting things in the right place, or perfectionist. And this man is Hakim. Many people are Hakim, wise people, plenty of wise people. And this wise, the divine wise, is utterly different than the human wise. But he is wise, and it's all right, in a certain level suitable for humans. There's no problem to use the word Hakim. But Rahman has been deserted for use in except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It becomes almost like a private divine name. But one with a clear meaning related only to Rahmah, intrinsically merciful. And that's the reason they try to say the beneficent, the benevolent. Maybe benevolent is more toward the intrinsic side. So maybe benevolent is more, while beneficent means he gives benefit, you know? So looks beneficent more related to the act. So anything related to the intrinsic side is closer to Rahman. Anything related to the action and repeated action that is Rahim. But both are there. Some scholars said Rahman is for everyone, Rahim for the believers. That's true, but still he's Rahim also to the disbelievers. How come that they are cured from illnesses, they have children, they get money and so on? This is all Rahmah. So there's plenty of Rahmah coming to them. A limited one, deserving to the level of disbelief, but still. So when it says only, some people say it's Rahmah actually in dunya and akhirah, but Rahim only in akhirah. But it's not correct, because we have a hadith saying Allah is being addressed, Rahman al-dunya wal-akhirah wa rahimahuma. You are the Rahman of dunya and akhirah, and you are the Rahman al-Rahim of both of them. Rahman al-dunya wal-akhirah wa rahimahuma. So you are both Rahman for dunya and akhirah, and Rahim for both of them. So it's not correct that he's Rahman in dunya and Rahman al-akhirah, he's Rahim in dunya and Rahim al-akhirah. So it's no good. All these are not really very convincing. The best is that Rahman is the intrinsic. So he's Rahim even before the creation, he was Rahim. His being is like that. And Rahim only after creation, then the act. After act comes where the title Rahim will be applicable. So Rahman is more vast intrinsically, and Rahim more frequent in action. And these two names are the one chosen to begin the opening of every. So actually the three, Allah, which encompasses all meaning in itself, hidden in the word, but not visible linguistically. And the two other chosen to open the surahs is the two related to the womb, to the mercy and the kindness. Or if you wish, the love. So when Christians say, oh, the Muslim God has so many divine attributes and so many nice ones, but there's nothing that God is love like what you say God is love. He says, so even if you say the sentence God is love does not make any sense. It doesn't mean God is love. Even if he's loving, or he's pure love, can't be only pure love. Where is the power? Where is the knowledge? Where is the exaltation? Does not make very much sense. You mean he's loving? Doesn't mean he's kind. He's forgiving, he's merciful. That's Rahman al-Rahim. So this is they misunderstand. Besides, there's one divine name, Al-Wadud, which relates purely to love and affection. Wadud, Mawadda. Coming closer, showing love and affection, so loving kindness, Mawadda is there. So they are mistaken on two grounds. Thinking that the main attributes is love, that's not true. It's one of the attributes. The main attributes is the eternal, Allah, which encompasses everything, Al-Hayy al-Qayyum. These are the most fundamental divine attributes, and based on that, He is the Rahim in all these attributes. And secondly, they are already available in the divine names of Allah in Arabic, in more precise and more exacting way. So that's the way this surah and every other surah and every good act should start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And this is the Basmala with which everyone should say. You can't start Bismillah, 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 Allahumma Bismillah Ta'ala. I noticed, I don't know what's the reason, I noticed in most Shia publication, many things they start Bismillah Ta'ala instead of Bismillah ar-Rahman. I don't know if they have some kind of a fiqh that Bismillah ar-Rahman should be only the beginning of surahs instead of that. I don't think it's Bismillah Ta'ala is much, I don't think it's nicer than Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, that one is the word. Second one is the one shows in the Quran. Secondly, it shows, gives radiates mercy and kindness. While Bismillah Ta'ala, in the name of the exalted, does not radiate closeness and radiates remoteness, distance. But when you are invoking the divine name, when you do a certain act, you want to have kindness and nearness, not remoteness and exaltation. You know there's remoteness and exaltation in the name of Allah itself alone. And this is more than enough. Now we want to get a bit of closeness, and if you are starting an act rather than being far away. So I don't think it's a good choice by the Shia for this. And I don't know what's the historic reason for that. Almost everywhere is Bismillah Ta'ala, not Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maybe to be odd to the Sunnis, not a good reason to abolish two nice divine names and go to something which is a bit remote. Ta'ala is different, the exalted. Nobody is denying that. But it is not the nice one in that context. Like if you, one Bedouin heard someone reading an ayah of the Quran which is threatening punishment, and then he ended the ayah by mistake. Said, hey, this cannot be a Quran. The beginning of the ayah is punishment, and the end it says Ghafur Rahim. Say, I made a mistake. It's Al-Aziz al-Hakim. Hey, this is Quran. The exalted and the wise. That fits for punishment. Doesn't fit well to end the ayah with Rahman Rahim. The ayah is threatening punishment. You don't end it with Rahman Rahim. That will be not a good threat. It should be properly synchronized. So the Bedouin, out of just taste, say that can't be Quran. How can be a Quran that all the ayah is talking about punishment and suddenly ending with Rahman Rahim? It doesn't work this way. See? So it's the same here. You are invoking the divine name at the beginning, asking Allah to come close and show mercy and bless the word, and you Ta'ala far away, the exalted. It does not synchronize nicely, but that's what you want. Oh, it's a correct one. So this is not correct, but it's not the one who fits nicely and smugly. So this is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the two names. Then the main body of the surah starts, which is the form of as if a believer is reading it. So Allah is formulating it for us to read it as a dua to Him. And actually, Surah Al-Fatiha is called the Salah, because there's a hadith saying that Allah said, I divided the Salah between me and my servant or my slave in two parts. When my slave say, Alhamdulillah. So Salah for Allah in this hadith is Surah Al-Fatiha only. It does not mention sujood or ruku. So the heart of the Salah, the core, the spinal cord of the Salah is the reading Al-Fatiha. That's where there is Salah. Because Salah originally means supplication, means dua. Then it has been turned by the Sharia into the specific acts with standing, reading, sujood, ruku, etc. But its core still is Surat-ul-Faatiha, the dua. And the dua which has been prescribed, the best one formulated ever, which is comprehensive and cover all needs, is Surat-ul-Faatiha, much better than the Lord's Prayer. So Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Alhamd is usually, and this is the standard translation, which is good praise. Alhamd is not thank. Although in common language, people mix hamd and thank. They think hamd contains the meaning of thank. It's more than thank. It's praise, which contains some thank, but it's not the thank. Thank will be shukr. Shakara and shukra and shakirin. And also in the common language, shukran. In order shukriya, yeah, meaning thank you. That's the shukr. So shukr to Allah, but hamd contains shukr. What is the praise? Shukr is praising someone, expressing gratitude for that what he did to you. But praise is expressing not only gratitude to you, but expressing admiration for what he is. Maybe he did nothing to you, so you can praise a mountain. A mountain did nothing for you. The mountain is far away. You have nothing to do with it, but it looks so gigantic, so gorgeous. So, look how fantastic is it, how beautiful and massive is this mountain, how nicely it's covered in trees. You are praising the mountain. It's doing for you nothing. You're standing there, you're just admiring its beauty, and you're praising this beauty. That's all. You're not getting anything from it. While someone will help you, for example, to step out of the car if you are sick or you're handicapped, he's doing you something a favor, and you are thanking him. Shukr. And then you may praise him. With the shukr, I praise him that you did something nice to me. This is nice work. I'm expressing my gratitude. That's called shukr. This is a limited category of praise. So, Alhamdulillah, and then there were some choices there. And the choice, again, Allah is the main divine name. The the one, the Yahweh, the YHA, whatever, WA in Hebrew, the one who is the one, as you say, because it seems to be Yahweh is nothing but just an abbreviation of a sentence. Because even in the Quran, when Musa was addressed by Allah, said, "Who are you?" Say, tell the one who said, "I am the one," said me. And this was abbreviated by taking the first letters of the sentence. So it is, he has no other name, but he constructed for himself a name, which is like Allah in that case, Jamid, which is the first letters of what they call the Holy Tetragrammaton, the Holy Four Letters, which nobody knows how they are pronounced, and they're supposed not to pronounce except once in the year. The chief priest in the temple is supposed to pronounce that. Nobody else. And nobody is certain about the proper vowelization of it. Is it Yehovah, Yahweh, Yuhi, YHYWA? Nobody knows how to pronounce it properly. That's how it is written in the Old Testament. Luckily, we know how to pronounce Allah, so we have more closer relation to the divine being. So, Alhamdulillah, no doubt, praise to Allah, Rabbul Alameen. Rabb al-Alamin. What does these words mean? Rabb and al-Alamin. Rabb is usually translated by Lord, with the word Lord, which in English pretty close. But it does not give all the meaning of Rabb in Arabic, because Rabb in Arabic is having two major meanings. One meaning indicate ownership and possession. So the owner of the house is called Rabbul Dar. The owner of the car is called Rabb al-Sayyara, which is legitimate. Especially the lady of the house is called Rabbatul Dar, Rabbatul Bayt. The lady of the house, the owner of the house. Or the master, the lady may be not owning the house, maybe it's not in her name, but she is the one who is having the command in the house, so she is the master, the one who commands. So it's either one who owns, so he can buy and sell and dispose of the essence itself, like the one who owns the car, or the one who owns his house and has the right to sell it and buy it, or the one who has the power of commanding and managing and ordering in that house, who has a certain level of sovereignty in that house. So it is either the ownership or siyada, mastery, or both. In the case of Allah, both are applicable by necessity, because He is the owner of the universe. By virtue, but either when He built it, but being a creator is different than being a creator is something else. But here is not the issue of focusing on creation, because this is not the issue under dispute. What's the dispute? Is He the only owner? Is He the only commander? That's the issue. By most people, the issue. Creator is not a major issue. You'll find not very much. Some deny His existence, but don't admit His existence. He just created the universe and retired. He's doing something else, playing maybe chess with someone else. He's not considered the universe. He's not any real Rabb. He's not the master or the commander. We are the commanders now. We have inherited the command. That's the secular point of view. Expressed a little bit blatantly, but that's the way it is. So the argument is not about creation, because this is really an argument except between atheism and theism. That's it. But the argument is that is He the Lord and the Master. So this is choosing carefully. Rabbul Alamin. He's the owner, and He is the Master and the Commander of Al-Alamin. Al-Alamin is the plural of Alam. Alam is world or universe. So He's the Lord and the Master and the owner of the worlds, of the universes. You will find the scholar who said the Alameen means He's the humans and the jinn. It's wider than that. The heavens and earth is wider than that. Not this whole universe, the Alam, any other universe to come in the future also another Alam. Whatever imaginable universe and category of existence which can be called the world, which means they are interconnected, have the same laws, and it can be regarded as one entity in some sense or another. This is the Alam, this is the world. He's the master and the owner of this world. It can't be otherwise. There's no other owner. There's no other any universe or any entity which can be called a world is by necessity created by the Creator, and said there's no existence except one who can create, the eternal, the living, the eternal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He's the creator of that out of nothing. So He's the complete owner. If you own the car, because you paid money for it, but you did not create a car, you did not build it. Some Japanese worker, or some American worker, or some German worker, maybe some English worker has built it for, and then sold it to you. abolished ownership and gave it to you and you pay them money for that. But the one who created out of nothing, he has a complete and absolute ownership. And by virtue of that, because there is no other who participated in this process, he has the absolute command and mastery and sovereignty. So he's the Rabb, he's the Lord of the universes. And when you praise him, you say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Allah responds because he said, I divided the salah between me and my slave into two parts. Allah says, respond when you read Alhamdulillah, Allah said, my slave or my servant praised me. Then we again back to the two attributes, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. The vastly, intrinsically merciful, maybe benevolent, which means good in himself, kind in himself, and Rahim, the one who acts kindly, continuously, and frequently. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. This is the further praise, in addition. And Allah will say, Athna alayya abdi, which we could translate, my servant exalted me, honored me further. First level of praise, Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of the universe. Then you add more. He's not only Rabbul Alameen, just an owner and commander, maybe a vicious one, no. Full of kindness and acting always kindly. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Then you go one level in, honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and giving him more praise, another third level of praise, but also adding another aspects of the divine being which gives your mind more understanding of him. First one, the basic praise, that he is the Lord of the universe, the owner and the master, based on being he is the only creator. That's the base for it. So his ownership and mastery is absolute and unlimited. Not like your ownership for the house, because you did not build the house. Worker have built it, but you paid them, they're off out, they're gone, forgotten. Have nothing to do with the house. You own the house and you have it in the land register in your name, because you have pesa, money for it, and you bought it by money. That's all. Here, nobody's there. He is the one who did it completely. So his ownership is absolute. Nobody participates in anything whatsoever. And his master is absolute. Because he's the absolute owner, he's the absolute creator. So he should have absolute power and sovereignty and command. Then, this sounds very vicious and very terrifying. You go one level further. It's not like that. He's intrinsically good and merciful and kind in himself and acting always kindly. So you honor him further and recognize him and understand him. Then you go one step, giving him one more level of glory and praise, but also mentioning another important fact which is related to the Islamic creed in an indicative way, not directly. That's Malik or Maliki Yawmuddin. Both reading are mutawatir and both have been read by the Prophet. Because there's no Arabic language word which will express both, so both reading are given, but it ought to be possible for you to read sometimes Malik, sometimes Malik. They come from the same root, milk, milkiya, ownership. Malik is the owner. Malik. Although I think it's like the master of the house. Malik is the king. He's both. But of what? We said already Lord of the universes. But here is the specific phase of a universe, specific new universe is mentioned, which is not now yet, but has to come. And it has certain functions called Yawmuddin. It's included in the Rabb al-Alamin, but it's now a further expansion mentioning a specific universe which has a specific function, which means you have a specific belief, which is of utmost importance. That there is a day yet to come, it has not come yet, called Yawmuddin, the day of judgment. Deen is judgment, we discussed that in Tana. One of its main meaning, he means the day of judgment, or the day of recompense, where everyone is paid out. Books are balanced. Judgment, Deen, Hadith judgment, or recompense. So he's the Malik, the owner of Yawmuddin. This is part of being Rabb al-Alamin, because Yawmuddin is part of the Alamin. There's no other Alam. Because all in existence is either necessarily existing eternal without beginning, that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is not Alam, something else, special entity of its own, that necessarily existed, and all other contingent beings which are very complex and structured so that they can be blocked in alam by alam, world by world, this world, the other world, and various levels of classification. We talk about humans as a world, because you can regard them as some kind of a community, a world by himself. You could say the Western world and the Muslim world. This is also legitimate. You could say the world of the earth is a world, while Venus is another world, which is empty, having no life, unfortunately, and Mars the same. But there may be another world, another planetary system which has somewhere alive. That's another world. The sun, that other sun with all its planets, is another world. But the whole galaxy is a world on its own. So various level of worlds, but they are worlds. They are all created. They are all interdependent. They are not absolutely independent, necessarily existing being. Yawmuddin is one of those worlds. So he is the Lord of that as well. But here it is specifically mentioned that he is Malik and Malik. He is the owner. This is repeating this part of Rab, but he is the Malik. He is the king. He is the one who rules. I mentioned as a king because usually king are apparent as ruler of a country, as in front, clearly dominant. But what's the difference between Malik and king? Malik has more power in certain areas than a king, and the king has more power in certain areas than a Malik. Malik, for example, in the house. If you are the owner of the house, you have the right to sell the house. You have the right to demolish the house if you wish. The king will not be able to do that for your house without your permission, because it's not his house. He's the king of the country. And the king has the right to enact laws, to collect taxes. Even if you are the owner of the house, you can't say pay tax for the house. You can't say no, because he's the king. So these two things, although they are related, but they don't cover. So Malik will not cover all the meaning of the king will cover, and king will not cover. So he is both Malik and Malik Yawmuddin. And both readings are narrated. Although some readers read only Malik, some readers only Malik, but if you read both, one maybe one Salah this, another, and one Fatiha this, it may be nicer. If you train yourself to read the first Rak'ah Malik, Malik, you bring the two meaning anyway. There is the Malik and the Malik Yawmuddin. Why specifically Yawmuddin mentioned, which is one of the alams? Because this mentioning that, because if you address him as the owner of Yawmuddin, I believe that you own Yawm al-Qiyamah. You believe there's something Yawmuddin. You believe in the day of Yawmuddin. You believe in the day of resurrection. So you're expressing your belief in Yawmuddin, which is the second cornerstone of the belief of Islam. Because the belief of Islam, the fundamental of Islam is believing in Allah and the day of judgment. Yes, the believing in the angels, the books also, but it's all relatively secondary to those two main items. And the fundamental item is believing in Allah, obviously. But then the next one is Yawm al-Akhir. There is the day of the coming. This life is not the ultimate one, there is another one to come. And then, in addition, we know that to fulfill that, to bring the revelation in an effective way, there will be revelation. The revelation will be coming through messengers, through angels, and all the other, and certain books will be revealed. That's all that is like footnote compared to the stupid thing. And that's the reason in the Quran, Man amana billah wal akhir amal, believe in Allah and the day of judgment, or the last day, and does the good deeds. These are the ones who are praised. It doesn't mention angels and so on, except a few other places, because they said they are relative to these two footnotes. Fundamental footnotes, but have footnotes. These are the fundamental ones. And if you believe in those, then the job is done. All other things will then follow automatically, without much problem. If you don't believe in those, there is nothing can be done after that. So with this, you express further praise to Allah Ta'ala, showing that He is the Lord, the owner, the King of the Day of Judgment. Show that you believe in the Day of Judgment, and you call it in its proper name, Yawmuddin, the day, deen meaning judgment or recompense, that there will be a day of settling the accounts. This life, this alam, will end, but it will not end going into nothing, into dust for all eternities. No, there will be a return for accounting and settling the accounts, Yawmuddin. And when the servant, the slave, reads that, Allah says, Majjadani abdi, my slave has glorified me. So he started with praise, then exaltation, then glorification. And usually glorification is connected to kingdom and issues of kingdom, and exercising kingdom and power of kingdom and power of rulership. So he's the king of the Day of Judgment. He is the king here also, but especially in the Day of Judgment, there's no other kings. Here there may be many kings, and because he's behind the veil, he's not apparent for coming forward to the front, Some people may even not see him or even to deny that he is there. But Yawm al-Qiyamah, there will be no denial. He's here in front of you. There's no escape. Khalas. And there's also no Iman and Kufr because there's no Iman. Iman is an act of will to submit for her. How can you not submit if you see all this glory? You will be crushed just by the radiations. Iman will be by necessity, not by an act of will, and this is irrelevant. So there's no more Iman there. If you don't have it before that, it's gone, forgotten. It's only to account what has been done in the time where you were behind the veil, or in front of the veil and he's behind the veil. Very thick veil, which is very difficult to go through, except for the really Allah aware. No one who wants Allah aware, they see the Quran. Until the end of the universe, there is nothing. Doesn't seem that there is anything. Just bleak universe, empty spaces. Looks like just deserted, nothing is there. That's the veil, which blinds many people from seeing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here. But there, it's a shocking situation. Everyone is in a state of terrification. Now, when they are all instructed, open their eyes, my goodness, what is this? Who woke us from our long sleep? And the believer tell them, this is the Yawm al-Qiyamah which we have been in doubt of. But you were not knowing. Now you are in trouble. Now what can be done? Nothing can be done. Now it's finished. It's end station. Now it's just only settling the accounts. Nothing more can be done. Not even one dot. It's over, finished, and gone. That's Yawmuddin. And he's the king of this day, the apparent king, coming forward, visible by everyone, who is not now visible. He's the Lord, but the Lord behind the veil. Here is the king, the apparent one, who exercises power directly like any king. So it's more suitable in this context to say king, Malik or Malik, and the other would say Rabb. Because Rabb could be hidden. You pass in the house, you know this house has an owner, but you don't know him. But if you're in the country of the king, you see the king. You see his pictures everywhere, especially in modern time, in the post office everywhere, maybe in the street hanging. You cannot run away from seeing him directly. But the owner of the house, you may not know. You may need to dig very deep to know whether go to the land registry, pay money, get the records to see who is the owner of this house. Not in the case of a king. The king is very apparent. His humanity land in the airport, his picture is there. Okay, that's the king. That's the ruler here. That's the head of state. That's the country of state. You go to the post office, you go to the police station, everywhere. You come to recognize him right away. That's the reason the good king for Yawm al-Qiyamah is more suitable than Rabb. Because that one is apparent, known to everyone, public. The most important number one public figure is the king of the country. That's it, yeah. Visible and clear. So if you read that, Allah says, my servant extolled me. So you see in these three sentences, all basic fundamentals of Islamic creed are included. Implicitly or explicitly. And the most important ones. Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah's most important attribute, that He is the Lord of the universe, is the owner and the commander, the lawmaker of all universes. Whatever you classify. So I talk about the universe, the world of the Arabs, He is the Lord of that. But there's also a world of all Africans, He is the Lord of that. The world of all humans, He is the Lord of that. The whole earth, He is the Lord of that. No, whatever world you constructed, Yawm al-Qiyamah, He is the Lord of that. Other universes which had maybe been created and disappeared trillions of years back, He was the Lord of that, and He's the Lord of that now. He's the Lord of all universes. There's no escape. So that's summarize the most important aspect of the Aqidah Islamiyya in 3 sentences, and shows praise to Allah Ta'ala in 3 levels. Praise, exaltation, and glorification. So this part, these three ones are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now comes the share of the servants now. The servants have to ask them for themselves, because they'll be selfish, they need something, so they cannot just go by just pure praise. Malik Yawmuddin, then you ask for something. What do you ask? The daily bread, like in Lord's Prayer? Daily bread is important, but this is not really the most important. Daily bread is almost guaranteed. A bit of work and so on. Except in famines and in exceptional situations, daily bread is there really. So what you ask for, what is the most important thing to ask for? Is to be on the right path. To be in such a situation that Allah is pleased with you and that Yawmuddin you escape. Because Yawmuddin there will be a settlement in the account. There will be reward and punishment. The punishment is very severe and the reward is enormous. and how to get to that reward and avoid that punishment is to be on the right path leading to that. That's the most important thing. And getting the reward, meaning getting Allah's pleasure, because you not get the reward unless you please Allah. So getting Allah's pleasure, that's the real happiness. Or to summarize it in a philosophical way, to achieve happiness. You want the happiness, the sa'ada. You want to be sa'id, not shaqi. Not the unhappy one, you want to be the lucky one. The happy. What's happiness? What's real happiness is achieving Allah's pleasure. Because achieving Allah's pleasure and forgiveness and mercy materializes in created terms in form of a paradise. The paradise itself is nothing than the materialization of Allah's pleasure. And the hellfire is nothing than the materialization of Allah's angers. The material manifestation of Allah's anger is the hellfire. And the material manifestation of Allah's pleasure is the paradise. So, if some Sufis and some philosophers said we should be looking only for Allah's pleasure, don't think about paradise, they are just talking in contradiction, because Allah's pleasure will materialize by necessity in the form of paradise. By necessity. Because you are a created being, how you are going to interface in computer language with Allah's pleasure? You cannot touch the divine being and measure it, because the two levels of existence are absolutely separated. So you have to experience it on yourself, with your flesh, with your bones, with your nerves, with your created nature. How to experience it, how to feel it, how to get to it, is to have some created being which reflects and materializes fully Allah's pleasure. This is the paradise. Then you enter the paradise, you are in Allah's pleasure, you are immersed up to your ears, on top even you are completely swamped with Allah's pleasure and enjoying it in full, in a way which you can enjoy and experience with all your full existence. Yeah? And the way to do it is that, because there's no way for you to merge with the infinite being. If you merge with the infinite being, you will be annihilated, you will be gone. It's the nirvana of the Buddhist, meaning you have been annihilated. That's not a very great kind of pleasure, to be annihilated and lose existence completely. And because if you lose existence, you lose consciousness. So as long as you have existence and consciousness, you have a body, you have a finite being, you need finite pleasures, you need finite enjoyment. That's the paradise. So there's nothing there except Allah's pleasure, but in a way which you can experience and interface with it. Anything else does not make any sense. You may write about it and have long sentences, but they're empty of any real meaning. Like the nirvana. What is the nirvana for the Buddhists or for the Hindus? Melting completely. If you analyze it further, if you lose consciousness, then you're not there. What you're experiencing. You're experiencing nothing. You're becoming nothing. Becoming nothing is a great pleasure. I'm doubtful that really is a great pleasure. Very doubtful. So that's not, you have to be thinking something. You have to be conscious. And if you are conscious of something, you are finite. There's no way you can become infinite. This is that rational and conceptual impossibility. So you remain finite. You may become big and capable. Your capabilities will come trillionfold, but still you are finite. You need finite experiences to enjoy all of that. There's no other way. So the paradise is the manifestation of Allah's pleasure, and the hellfire is the real manifestation of Allah's anger. So if you are achieving happiness, meaning achieving paradise, meaning achieving Allah's pleasure, all of these are equivalent, equal in mathematical terms, by necessity. And to achieve that, you have to be in the path which leads to that. The path leading to that is being given the name the straight path. Why the straight? Because we know mathematically the straight path is the shortest path between 2 points. So from here to that destination, which is happiness, which equal Allah's pleasure, real happiness, eternal happiness. There are limited happinesses. You will become happy, for example, if you, after poverty, you gain money and financial independence. That's happiness, no doubt about that. It's a limited one, respectable one, a limited one. You are bachelor suffering from loneliness and you get a very nice wife. That is happiness also. Fulfillment and love, happiness, no doubt. These are limited happiness. But the real eternal happiness, which encompasses all of these to a level not imagined today yet, but to be experienced tomorrow, is by achieving Allah's pleasure, or entering the paradise, or gaining the pardon. All of these are equivalent terms. That's the point we want to get, and we are here, far away still. There must be a way from this point to that point, which is called the straight path, the shortest path.